is BYU, and as concerned as Utah should be about Cam Rising, what's the level of concern with Jake Retzlaff and BYU? And I would tell you I'm not at all concerned about Jake Retzlaff and BYU because I feel like Jake, did he play well? No, he did not. Jake Retzlaff did not have a good game. I think the deep ball that he missed that we have seen him routinely make through camp last season, early in this season, that's a ball he generally completes. So do I have a level of concern because of the way Jake Retzlaff played against SMU? I do not. I will stand on business with Jake Retzlaff and tell you I believe in the guy. I think he's the right guy. I think when you look at the way he led this team down the field, marched down the field on that last drive, that read option pitch that he made to seal this game to Miles Davis is exactly why Jake Retzlaff's the starting quarterback at BYU. His running ability, I think, makes him an absolute threat, and he is a better thrower of the football than I think most of us believed. Now, were the interceptions what you wanted to see? They weren't. The one was complete disguise. I don't blame that screen pass over the middle that got picked off. I don't blame necessarily Jake for that. I thought that was good defensive disguise. But I also don't like some of the decisions he made. But those decisions, he can clean those up. But here's my biggest question. What's of bigger concern if you're a BYU football fan? Jake Retzlaff's performance or Aaron Roderick's play calling? Because in my opinion, if you are not going to allow Jake Retzlaff to command this offense, put in Gary Bohannon. Because if you are going to put a leash on Jake Retzlaff, you are not doing him or this offense any service at all. And amongst the other issues, LJ Martin, who I have espoused and I have told you repeatedly on this show, LJ Martin is the most important offensive player that BYU has, and he's hurt again. And it is a huge problem because you've never been able to consistently add LJ Martin to your offense. And when he's been out there in a limited role, he's been awesome. But what good are you? Your best ability is your availability. And LJ Martin's not been available to this offense for most of his time at BYU. And it's a huge problem because this offense is dynamic when he's in the backfield, and it's not when he's not. And we are now going to see about the depth of this roster because with Rapati hurt as well, and I don't know that we're going to have any idea about those two and their ability until we get to the weekend. But what I will tell you is Jake Retzlaff is not the problem for BYU's offense. My belief is Aaron Roderick's got to do a significantly better job opening up the playbook and allowing Jake Retzlaff to make plays with both his arm and his legs. And if you are not going to allow him to do that, you're going to lose games. You are not going to be bowl eligible because one of the things that I think is a real hallmark of a good football team, and let's not pull punches on BYU. Are they an elite football team? Not by anybody's imagination, not by anybody's description, but they are a good football team that can win any game they play. And when you look at the hallmark of a good football team, when you are in position to lose a game and you pull victory from the jaws of defeat, because that's exactly what BYU did here. They played terrible football offensively, but boy, did they get plays on defense. Boy, did they end Preston Stone's career at SMU. Boy, did they make a statement that they compete and they play hard defensively. And when the offense is struggling, the defense is now capable and able of picking up that offense and giving them the ball back and giving Jake Retzlaff the opportunity to command that drive where he made a big throw. And then that read option pitch was a thing of beauty. BYU is going to be a problem in this league, and they're going to compete in every game that they play. And I think they're going to win more than they lose.
Absolutely. And I think that, the play calling thing is a really interesting conversation because, when I saw that interception that Jake threw over the middle there, where he's got a lineman at his feet, he's got another guy standing in front of him. Like it's not like this interception where it's just like egregiously bad. That's not what
it's not the pick six last year.
Exactly. Right. It's not like one of those, but what I felt about that interception is kind of things you're alluding to. I felt like the play calling up into that point had kind of put Jake in a position mentally where I'm watching him play this game. And I felt like, based on what I was seeing out of him, that maybe he felt like he needed to make plays. Like, hey, I'm finally getting an opportunity to throw the football. I got to make something happen here. And I felt like in the SMU game, it led to him holding the ball a little bit longer than typically he does. He was trying to pull something out of that.
Well, and that offensive line.
Yeah. And so I think that the play calling combined with how the game was going is why Jake probably decided to throw that football.
I would agree with that.
And that's not an excuse, right? I'm not saying that makes the turnover better. I'm not saying that he played great. But what I am saying is when you're playing quarterback, you're on the road and you're clearly not clicking on all cylinders, if you will. You're not having a great game offensively. You're going to try to make some things happen. And that's why I say it could be potentially a blessing in disguise that Rapati and Martin are a little bit injured and banged up, because that's going to force you to be better in your passing game.
But I also thought we got a pleasant surprise in Enoch Nawahina. I think Nawahine, excuse me. I think he's a guy that showed he's capable. And I also think it's a tip of the cap to the depth that they built in that running back room, because obviously the wide receivers are elite. And Darius Lassiter did not have his best game. And I know I'm going to say something that you guys are probably going to find A, sensational, and B, offensive. Wide receivers are supposed to catch passes. I know, Uncle Marty. Come on, Marty. Let's not say that's a clickbait statement. Wide receivers are supposed to catch passes. BYU's got this unbelievable wide receiver room who too often drops passes, whether that is Darius Lassiter, Cody Epps, Chase Roberts. I mean, you pick the guy. You can't drop those passes, because Jake Retzlaff, in a game where you are struggling to be your best, Jake Retzlaff is putting it in the hands of his wide receivers and they're not catching the football. And that doesn't help either. Now, having said all that, you got to go to Laramie this weekend. And if BYU is going to be tested, it's going to be in Laramie, because I think that's one of the toughest places to go and play. Now, obviously, the altitude is part of the reason it's tough. BYU doesn't have to worry about that.
Right.
BYU prepares at altitude already. And I do think that we are going to see one of the greatest bounce backs of all time. And if this team is going to go to a bowl, this is a game you have to win.
Have to.